The massive Kryvax Empire fleet appeared suddenly at the edge of human space. Their dark ships blocked the stars like giant shadows. On the main ship, Grand Admiral Doro stood tall and proud. His hard outer shell gleamed in the light of the bridge. His 4 arms were crossed over his chest as he looked at the images of the human worlds. "Send the message now," Doro said. His mouth parts clicked together as he spoke. He had waited a long time for this moment. The Kryvax had studied humans for years from far away. They saw humans as weak creatures who relied too much on machines. The message traveled quickly to Earth. It reached the planet in just a few hours. As soon as it arrived, alarms sounded in government buildings around the world. The United Earth government called an emergency meeting. Leaders from all nations gathered in the main hall in New Geneva. President Lee looked grim as he entered the room. "What do we know about them?" he asked. Defense Minister Ryu shook her head. "Very little, sir. Their ships appeared without warning. They use technology we've never seen before. Our sensors can't even tell how many ships they have." "Play the message," President Lee ordered. The large screen at the front of the room came to life. The alien's face filled the screen. Doro looked something like a giant insect with a humanoid body. His skin was dark green and hard like armor. His eyes were large and black, showing no emotion. "Humans," Doro's deep voice boomed through speakers worldwide. Everyone watching felt a chill as the alien spoke perfect English. "Your species has been deemed unworthy of galactic participation. Your evolutionary path chose technology over natural strength, the mark of cowards. Surrender your worlds or face extinction." The message played on every screen on Earth. In homes, offices, and public spaces, people watched with fear and anger. Some began to panic. Others called loved ones. Many just sat in shocked silence. Far from any city, high in the mountains, Major Hannah sat alone in her small wooden cabin. She had left military service 5 years ago, after the Mars conflict. The doctors said her body had taken too much damage. They told her to rest and live a quiet life. Hannah watched the alien message on her small screen. Unlike most people, she didn't look afraid. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the alien commander. She noticed details others might miss: the way he held himself, the confidence in his voice, the slight movements that showed his sense of superiority. "Typical," she muttered to herself. "They always underestimate us." As the message ended, Hannah felt something strange. The combat implants in her body, small machines placed under her skin during her service, began to warm up. They had been inactive for years, but now they hummed with energy. Her heart beat faster as old instincts awakened. Hannah knew what was coming next. The military would call her back. Despite her retirement papers, despite the doctor's warnings, they would need her. She was one of the few who had the right training and experience for what might lie ahead. Her small communications device on the table began to chime. The sound echoed in the quiet cabin. Hannah didn't reach for it immediately. She took a deep breath, feeling the familiar tension in her muscles, the readiness for action that had defined her life for so long. Outside her window, the mountain forest looked peaceful. Birds flew between trees. The afternoon sun made patterns on the wooden floor. It might be the last moment of quiet she would have for a long time. The device continued to chime. Hannah finally reached for it, her fingers steady. The screen showed a familiar symbol: the Special Operations Division. Below it was a simple message: code black, transport arriving in 30 minutes. Hannah stood up. She walked to her bedroom and opened a hidden panel in the floor. Inside was a metal box she hadn't touched in 5 years. Her fingers found the lock, and the box opened with a soft click. Inside was her uniform and her personal weapons, things she had hoped never to use again. "So much for retirement," she said quietly. She began to prepare. As she moved around the cabin, gathering what she would need, her mind was already working on the problem ahead. The aliens thought humans were weak because they used technology instead of physical strength. That mistake might give humanity its only chance. 30 minutes later, she heard the sound of an aircraft approaching. Hannah stepped outside, a small bag in her hand. She looked at her cabin one last time, wondering if she would ever see it again. The aircraft landed in the clearing. The door opened, and a young officer stepped out. "Major Hannah," he called over the engine noise. "We need you back." Hannah nodded. It was time to show the aliens what one human soldier could do. The military aircraft landed at Earth Command, a massive underground facility built beneath the old Rocky Mountains. Soldiers helped Hannah from the craft and led her through security checkpoints. After 5 years away, the bright lights and busy hallways felt strange to her. "Major Hannah," a young officer said, "General Park is waiting for you in the Situation Room." Hannah nodded and followed him. She noticed how people stared as she passed. Some looked at her with hope, others with doubt. She had once been famous, the hero of the Mars conflict. Now she was older, her black hair streaked with gray, her face marked with scars that even modern medicine couldn't fully remove. The Situation Room was filled with military leaders and government officials. Screens covered the walls, showing the alien fleet and data about Earth's defenses. Everyone looked tired and worried. General Park stood when Hannah entered. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a stern face. Years ago, she had been Hannah's commanding officer. "Thank you for coming," Park said, shaking Hannah's hand firmly. "Did I have a choice?" Hannah asked with a small smile. "There's always a choice," Park replied. "But I'm glad you made this one." On the main screen, Director Kim was addressing the world. He stood at a podium with the United Earth Government symbol behind him. "The Security Council proposes sending a single representative to discuss terms," Kim announced. His voice was calm, but Hannah could see the tension in his shoulders. The screen split to show the alien commander's reaction. Admiral Doro's laugh was deep and harsh. "One representative. Your cowardice knows no bounds. Send your diplomat. It will amuse my crew before we cleanse your worlds." The connection ended, and the room fell silent. "Take me to a secure room," Hannah said to Park. "I need to know what's really happening." 10 minutes later, they sat alone in a small, windowless room. The walls were lined with material that blocked all signals and recording devices. "The public thinks we're sending a diplomat," Park said, sliding a data tablet across the table. "But that's not the plan." Hannah picked up the tablet and began reading. Her eyes widened as she understood what they wanted her to do. "This isn't a negotiation mission," Park explained. "It's an operation." The plan was bold and dangerous. Hannah would go to the alien flagship alone, supposedly as Earth's representative. But her real mission would be to gather intelligence and, if possible, create an opening for Earth's military to strike. "These are suicide odds," Hannah said, looking up from the tablet. "That's why we need you," Park replied. "Your combat record is ancient history," Hannah interrupted, placing the tablet down. "I'm not the soldier I used to be." "You're exactly the soldier we need," Park insisted. "Your implants are the most advanced ever created. They're custom-made and undetectable by standard scans. The aliens won't know what you're capable of." Hannah stood and walked to the wall, thinking. The implants in her body had been experimental when she received them. They enhanced her strength, speed, and senses. They could also interface with most technology. But using them came at a cost. They damaged her organs over time. That was why she had retired. "The doctors said using the implants again could kill me," she said quietly. "I know," Park replied. "But without this mission, billions will die." Hannah turned back to face the general. "What makes you think I can make any difference against an entire alien fleet?" "The Kryvacs don't know what humans are truly capable of," Park continued. "They think we're weak because we rely on technology instead of natural strength. They don't understand that our technology is an extension of who we are." Park stood and looked Hannah in the eyes. "We need to show them that underestimating humans is a fatal mistake." Hannah thought about her quiet life in the mountains. She had found peace there after years of war. She had hoped to live out her remaining years in that peace. "How long do I have?" she asked finally. "The ship leaves in 6 hours," Park said. "You'll have minimal equipment. Anything that could be detected would compromise the mission." Hannah stared at the mission parameters for a long moment before nodding. "I'll do it." Later that day, Director Kim made another announcement to the world. This time, his message was brief but clear. "One soldier is enough." The statement confused many people. It was unclear if he meant Earth was sending a military representative instead of a diplomat, or if it was some kind of code. But to the military personnel who knew the plan, it was a declaration of Earth's strategy, sending its most lethal operative directly into the heart of the enemy. As Hannah prepared for the mission, technicians checked her implants and updated their software. Weapons specialists provided her with tools that looked harmless but could be deadly in her hands. "Are you afraid?" a young technician asked as he worked on her arm implant. Hannah thought about the question. "No," she said finally. "I'm not afraid of dying. I'm only afraid of failing." 6 hours after accepting the mission, Hannah sat alone in a small space shuttle heading toward the massive alien flagship. The shuttle was unarmed and marked with peace symbols. It carried only her and a simple message from Earth. Hannah wore formal diplomatic clothes, a dark blue suit with the Earth government emblem on the chest. Her hair was tied back neatly. She looked like any government official, not a decorated Special Forces soldier. Nothing about her appearance suggested danger. Inside her body, however, her implants were fully active for the first time in years. She could feel them working, enhancing her senses and processing power. They caused a dull pain throughout her body, but Hannah pushed the pain away. She had learned to control it long ago. Approaching Krivak's flagship, the shuttle's computer announced, "They are directing us to Docking Bay 4. The alien ship grew larger in the view screen. It was enormous, at least 10 kilometers long. Its dark surface was covered with strange patterns that might be weapons or sensors. Hannah studied every detail, storing the information in her enhanced memory. The shuttle entered a massive docking bay. Dozens of alien craft sat in neat rows. Soldiers moved about in formation. Everything showed discipline and military precision. When the shuttle landed, Hannah took a deep breath and stood. Her implants recorded her vital signs: elevated heart rate, increased adrenaline, but all within operational parameters. She was ready. The door opened, and Hannah stepped out into the alien ship. The air was warmer than Earth normal and had a strange smell, something like metal and spices. 6 Krivak soldiers waited for her, each nearly 2 meters tall with hard exoskeletons covering their bodies. "Follow," one ordered in rough English. His voice sounded like stones grinding together. Hannah walked between the soldiers, looking small and fragile compared to them. Her implants were already working, scanning the ship's interior and creating a detailed map. She noted the thickness of walls, the location of power conduits, the pattern of security cameras. So small, one guard chittered to another in their language. How did such weak creatures achieve spaceflight? Hannah understood him perfectly, her language implant translating automatically. But she showed no reaction. Let them think she couldn't understand their language. It was another advantage they didn't know she had. They led her through long corridors filled with more Krivak soldiers and crew. Hannah memorized every turn, every door, every potential escape route. Her augmented senses picked up details no normal human could notice: slight variations in airflow that revealed hidden passages, subtle changes in the floor that might indicate traps or security measures. They arrived at a large chamber filled with Krivak's officers. It appeared to be some kind of formal reception. The aliens stood in groups, drinking from containers filled with thick, green liquid. They all turned to stare as Hannah entered. She walked with calm confidence, showing no fear despite being surrounded by creatures who could easily tear her apart with their natural strength. Her implants monitored the room, identifying the highest-ranking officers by their distinctive armor markings. A hush fell over the room as a massive figure entered from the far side. Admiral Doro was even larger than the other cryovacs, his exoskeleton darker and more ornate. He moved with the assurance of someone used to complete obedience. Doro walked directly to Hana, towering over her. His black eyes showed no emotion that a human could read. "You represent Earth's surrender?" he asked, his deep voice echoing in the chamber. "I represent Earth's response," Hana replied calmly. "My government asked me to deliver a message." The Admiral's mouthparts moved in what might have been amusement. And what message could possibly matter now? Hana allowed herself a small smile. "That you fundamentally misunderstood human evolution. We didn't become technological because we were weak. We became technological because we were dangerously effective without it." The room grew quiet. Some of the alien officers moved closer, curious about her bold statement. "Explain," Doro demanded. "You evolved natural armor and strength," Hana continued. "We evolved endurance, adaptability, and problem-solving. We didn't need claws when we could make spears. We didn't need tough skin when we could make shields. Our technology didn't replace strength, it multiplied it." Doro made a harsh sound that Hana's translator identified as laughter. "Pretty words from a species about to be conquered. Your technology will not save you." "We're not asking to be saved," Hana replied. "We're offering you a chance to avoid a costly mistake." The Admiral's posture changed suddenly. His body language showed anger, though his face remained unreadable to human eyes. "Take her to containment until the ceremony," he ordered his guards. "Let her contemplate her species' final hours in solitude." 4 guards surrounded Hana and led her from the reception chamber. As they marched through the corridors, her implants continued to gather data. She noted the ship's power fluctuations, the guard rotation schedules, the command protocols used at security checkpoints. The cell they put her in was small and bare, with only a bench jutting from one wall. The door closed with a heavy thud, leaving her alone. Or so they thought. Hana sat on the bench and closed her eyes. To any observer, she appeared to be meditating or perhaps resigned to her fate. In reality, her implants were now connecting to the ship's systems, searching for vulnerabilities. The real mission was just beginning. In her cell, Hana sat perfectly still with her eyes closed. To any observer watching through the security cameras, she appeared to be sleeping or meditating. But inside her mind, she was very busy. The implants beneath her skin connected wirelessly to the ship's systems. The Kryvacs had scanned her when she boarded, but their technology wasn't designed to detect human implants. They had seen only small metal decorations and dismissed them as harmless. Now those implants were working at full power. They projected ship schematics across Hana's closed eyelids. She could see every deck, every room, every system. Most importantly, she could see the weaknesses. "Security protocols identified," whispered the voice of her implant's AI in her mind. "Beginning infiltration sequence." Hana's breathing remained slow and steady as her implants worked. First, they gained access to the ship's internal sensors. Now she could see where every Kryvax crew member was located. Next, they connected to the communication system. Now she could hear what the aliens were saying throughout the ship. 3 hours until the ceremony, she heard one officer tell another. "The Admiral wants the human to witness our first attack on her world before we execute her." Hana opened her eyes. It was time to act. She stood and approached the cell door. Her implants interfaced with the locking mechanism. The complex alien technology resisted for a moment, then yielded. The door slid open silently. The corridor outside was empty. Hana stepped out, keeping close to the wall. Her implants showed her the location of the nearest guards. 2 of them, 30 meters away, facing the opposite direction. She moved like a shadow, her footsteps making no sound. Years of special operations training combined with her enhanced senses made her nearly invisible despite the bright corridors. Hana reached a maintenance shaft and slipped inside. These narrow passages were used by the ship's service robots. They were perfect for a human to move through undetected. As she crawled through the shaft, her implants connected to more ship systems. One by one, she planted digital viruses designed to disable key functions at the right moment. Meanwhile, far away in Earth's command center, General Park watched as Hannah's signal activated. The plan was working. "Send the coded transmission to all hidden assets," Park ordered. "Activation in 30 minutes." Throughout the solar system, hidden human defense systems began to power up. For decades, Earth had been secretly building weapons platforms in asteroid belts, placing stealth satellites around planets, and developing quantum technology that could disrupt Kryvax ships. They had kept these weapons hidden, knowing they might one day need the element of surprise. Back on the flagship, Hannah reached the main power distribution node. It was a large room filled with glowing panels and humming machinery. 2 Kryvax engineers worked at control stations, their backs to the maintenance shaft. Hannah waited for the right moment, then slipped into the room. She moved silently behind the first engineer and pressed her palm against a control panel. Her implants immediately transferred the virus into the ship's power systems. The engineer turned, sensing movement, but Hannah was already gone, back into the maintenance shaft. The engineer looked around, confused, then returned to work. Hannah continued through the ship, reaching critical systems one after another. Life support, weapons control, engine management. At each location, she planted viruses or made small physical changes that would create failures when activated. Exactly 3 hours after being placed in her cell, Hannah sent the signal. All her viruses activated at once. On the bridge, Admiral Doro was preparing to begin the attack on Earth when the lights suddenly went out. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in red. "What's happening?" Doro demanded. "Multiple system failures, Admiral," a crew member reported. "Power is dropping. Weapons are offline. Engines are not responding." The main screen flickered and showed alerts from all over the ship. Then it switched to exterior views. What Doro saw made his mandibles click in shock. All around his fleet, space was suddenly filled with human weapons platforms. They had appeared out of nowhere, as if they had been invisible until now. "Impossible," Doro whispered. "Our scans showed nothing like this." "Admiral," his second-in-command said urgently, "the human prisoner has escaped." Doro's massive form shook with rage. "Find the human," he roared, his voice echoing through the ship. But Hannah was not easy to find. She moved through air ducts, maintenance tunnels, and service corridors. The ship's internal sensors, now under her control, showed her as being in her cell. The flagship continued to lose power. System after system failed. The mighty vessel was becoming helpless. "Admiral," his second reported, "the human has disabled our engine core and weapons systems." "Impossible," Doro whispered. "One human couldn't." Suddenly, all communication systems across the ship activated at once. Hannah's voice came through every speaker. "This is Major Hannah of Earth Special Forces. Your ship is now under my control. Your fleet is surrounded by Earth defense systems. You have one opportunity to surrender." Doro slammed his fist into a control panel, breaking it. "I will not surrender to a weak species like yours." At that moment, the bridge doors sealed shut, trapping Doro and his officers inside. The air began to thin as Hannah redirected life support. "Sir," an officer gasped, "she's heading for the bridge." Doro turned toward the main entrance, his natural weapons extended. If the human wanted to face him directly, he would show her the true strength of the Kryvax. The doors began to open. The bridge doors slid open with a soft hiss. The Kryvax officers turned, ready to fight. They expected a team of human soldiers. Instead, just one small figure stood in the doorway. Hannah stepped onto the bridge calmly. She held a small black device in her right hand. The emergency lights made her face look red as she gazed at the alien crew. Despite being surrounded by creatures twice her size, she showed no fear. "Don't move," she said quietly. "This device controls your life support systems." Admiral Doro stood tall, his massive form towering over her. "You think you can threaten us? We are Kryvax warriors." "I'm not threatening," Hannah replied. "I'm explaining your situation." She pressed a button on the device. The main screen changed to show the space around the Kryvax fleet. Hundreds of human weapons platforms had appeared, surrounding the alien ships completely. The bridge crew fell silent. Even Doro seemed shocked by what he saw. "Your species evolved as apex predators," Hannah explained to the stunned bridge crew. "You developed strength, armor, natural weapons. Impressive." She walked forward until she stood in the center of the bridge. The Kryvax officers moved back slightly, unsure what to do. "Humans evolved differently. We became persistence hunters. We didn't need to be the strongest. We just needed to outlast our prey. We developed endurance, problem-solving, and adaptability." Hannah gestured to another screen showing the flagship systems. Almost everything was red, indicating failure. "Look at what one human did to your ship," she said. "Imagine what our entire military could do to your fleet." Doro's black eyes studied her carefully. "Why didn't you attack us immediately? You clearly had the weapons." "We could have displayed our military strength right away," Hannah continued. "But we needed to understand our enemy first. That's how humans hunt. We study, we plan, then we act decisively." She pressed another button on her device. The life support systems began to return to normal. The emergency lights faded as main power came back online. "I've restored your essential systems," Hannah said. "Consider it a show of good faith." Admiral Doro moved closer to Hannah. Though he still towered over her, his posture had changed. The confidence was gone, replaced by caution. "You planned this deception all along," he said, his voice quieter than before. "No deception," Hannah replied. "We told you one soldier would be enough. You just didn't believe us." She held out her hand, a human gesture of agreement. "Now we offer you a choice. Return to your space peacefully, or face a war you cannot win." Doro looked at her small hand, then at the screen showing his surrounded fleet. After a long moment, he extended his massive clawed limb and touched her hand carefully. "The Kryvax Empire has misjudged humanity," he admitted. "We will withdraw." 3 days later, representatives from Earth and the Kryvax Empire met on a neutral space station. They signed a peace treaty that established boundaries between their territories and opened the possibility of future trade. As the ceremony ended, Admiral Doro approached Hannah one last time. "Your tactics were educational," he said. "My people will not forget what we learned here." "Nor will mine," Hannah replied. "Perhaps next time we meet, it can be as friends rather than enemies." Doro made a gesture that her translator identified as respect. "I would be interested to see what humans and Kryvax might accomplish together." The Kryvax ships left human space the next day. News of what happened spread quickly through the galaxy. Other alien civilizations that had been watching Earth with interest took note. A new saying began to appear in diplomatic discussions across many worlds. "Beware the species that sends just one representative." Back on Earth, Hannah received many honors. The president offered her high positions in government and military. Leaders wanted her advice. People recognized her on streets. But Hannah wanted none of it. When the ceremonies were finished and the medals were given, she packed her small bag and returned to her mountain cabin. The forest welcomed her back with peace and quiet. Birds sang in the trees as if nothing had changed. Hannah sat on her porch and watched the sunset, feeling the mountain air on her face. Her implants had been deactivated again. The doctors said using them had taken years from her life, but she felt no regret. Her world was safe, and she had found her way back to the quiet she loved. That night, as stars appeared above her cabin, Hannah smiled to herself. She had delivered humanity's message. Now she could rest. In the years that followed, Earth established relations with many alien civilizations. Humans became known throughout the galaxy as dangerous friends and deadly enemies. Their technology advanced rapidly as they learned from other species. And in her mountain cabin, Hannah lived out her days in peace, far from the worlds she had helped to save. The end.